Part 1. The Land of Ghosts. Three riders picked through the charred remains of the McKinnon Ranch, their silhouettes harsh against the setting sun. They hadn't spotted Logan Pierce yet. Nestled behind the blackened chimney stack, his Winchester 73 rested steady in scarred hands. He'd tracked them for 2 miles across the valley floor, knowing exactly what they sought. The tallest rider dismounted, kicking through debris with an expensive boot. "Has to be here somewhere," he growled. "Hargrove wants everything found before that auction tomorrow." Logan steadied his breathing. 300 yards was nothing to a man who'd spent years as an Army scout. The familiar weight of the rifle, the wind direction, the slight adjustment for elevation, these calculations happened without conscious thought. When the trigger broke clean, the tallest man dropped without a sound. Before the others could react, Logan worked the lever action and fired again. The second rider fell. The third wheeled his horse and galloped away, but not before Logan saw the distinctive eagle emblem of Hargrove's men on his vest. Message delivered. Logan approached the bodies without hurry. No proper burial for thieves. The desert would reclaim them soon enough. He collected a Colt Navy revolver and ammunition from the first man. Tools of survival in a land that offered none freely. The sun sank behind the Superstition Mountains, painting the valley in blood-red hues. Somewhere in this scorched earth lay the reason 4 people had been murdered. And tomorrow, Logan would own it all for $5 silver. $5 for the McKinnon place, the auctioneer called, voice tinged with mockery. Going once. The crowd in Redemption Creek's dusty square shifted uncomfortably. No one wanted the burned-out ranch. No one except the Apache standing alone at the back, dark eyes fixed on the charred plot sketched on the auction board. Going twice. "I'll take it," Logan said, voice cutting through whispers like a blade. Silence fell as he approached the auctioneer's table. Men in worn hats turned to stare at the Apache, who dared speak in their world of business and property. Their faces showed contempt, but Logan had learned long ago that their opinions carried no weight in his decisions. He placed $5 silver on the table with deliberate precision, each coin catching the afternoon light. The auctioneer's fingers trembled slightly as he prepared the deed, stealing glances at Logan. As Logan signed his name, he felt Maxwell Hargrove's eyes boring into him. Hargrove, cattle baron, land thief, and owner of half the county, stood flanked by his men. The silver-plated Army Model 1860 on his hip gleamed ostentatiously. Much like the Confederate colonel's insignia he still wore 15 years after the war. "You know that place is cursed," Hargrove said, stepping forward after the crowd dispersed. "McKinnon family died in that fire. Some say their spirits still walk those grounds." Logan folded the deed inside his worn jacket. "I don't believe in ghosts." "Maybe you should," Hargrove replied, closing the distance between them. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Bad things happen to folks who don't belong where they ought not be." Logan noticed the scarred man standing behind Hargrove, Cole, the Scorpion Winters. His face was a roadmap of knife wounds, his eyes dead as stones. Rumor said he'd killed 12 men in fair fights. Countless more from behind. "I belong wherever I stand," Logan replied, holding Hargrove's gaze without flinching. Hargrove's smile never reached his eyes. "We'll see about that, Scout." The McKinnon Ranch looked even worse up close. Logan dismounted his horse and walked through the remains of the front gate. The main house stood like a skeleton against the evening sky, its blackened frame reaching toward clouds like desperate fingers. But where others saw destruction, Logan saw potential. The foundation remained solid. The well still drew clear water. Most importantly, the land itself was good, rich soil that would grow anything a man had patience to plant. More tellingly, he saw signs that told a different story than an accidental fire. The irregular burn pattern on the barn, bullet holes in the remaining wall, carefully hidden beneath scorch marks. Empty cartridge casings half buried in the yard, .45 caliber, likely from a peacemaker, and bloodstains someone had tried to wash away from the well stones. No accident had claimed the McKinnon family. They were murdered. Logan discovered a hidden cellar beneath the kitchen floorboards, accessed through a trap door someone had overlooked. Inside, he found charred ledger fragments, records of cattle sales. The last entry, partially legible, 50 head to MH payment due upon. The rest was ash. But beside the ledger lay something that made Logan's breath catch, a small leather pouch containing rock samples. Even in the dim light, he could see the unmistakable glint of gold. Night fell as Logan prepared a small camp near the well. He'd need lumber, nails, glass for windows, and countless supplies. His remaining money would barely cover essentials, but for the first time in 3 years, since being cast out by his own people for exposing corrupt traders selling whiskey to the reservation, Logan had something that belonged to him alone. The crack of distant gunfire shattered the night's quiet. Logan extinguished his fire with a kick of dirt and reached for his Winchester. In the silver moonlight, he could make out a wagon careening along the valley floor, pursued by riders. Through his rifle scope, Logan counted 4 attackers gaining on the wagon. He took up position on a small rise, steadied his breathing, and squeezed the trigger. At 200 yards, the first rider tumbled from his saddle. The second fell moments later. The remaining attackers veered away, disappearing into the darkness. Logan approached the wagon cautiously. 4 blonde women huddled inside, one clutching a small child to her chest. The woman at the reins held a shotgun with practiced ease. "That was fine shooting," she said, lowering her weapon slightly. Her voice carried authority despite her obvious exhaustion. 300 yards in moonlight. You military?" "Once," Logan replied. He noticed the youngest woman was bleeding from her arm. "She needs tending." "I can manage," the wounded woman said, though her face had gone pale. "It's just a graze." "I'm Charlotte," said the woman with the shotgun, her eyes assessing everything in quick, calculating glances. "These are Rebecca, Victoria, and Sarah with her daughter." She hesitated. "We were told in town there might be shelter at the McKinnon place." Logan's jaw tightened. "By who?" "Man in a fancy vest, eagle pin." Charlotte watched his reaction carefully. "Said the ranch stood empty." "Hargrove's man," Logan said, confirming his suspicion. "I'm the owner now. Bought it today." Charlotte exchanged quick glances with her companions. "We can pay," she offered, "for a night's shelter." Logan studied the women. They carried themselves like survivors, people who'd learned the hard way that promises often turn to dust. The child in Sarah's arms couldn't have been more than 2 years old, both mother and daughter showing signs of exhaustion and hunger. "The barn still has half a roof," he said finally. "Not much, but it's shelter." As he helped them unload the wagon, Logan kept his rifle close. These women weren't here by coincidence. Hargrove had arranged this meeting. But why? Near midnight, Logan spotted Charlotte slipping away from the barn. He followed silently, tracking her to the remains of the corral where she began digging frantically in the dirt. When she unearthed the metal box, Logan stepped from the shadows. "Drop it," he commanded, rifle raised. Charlotte froze, then slowly turned. Moonlight revealed a pistol in her hand, pointed at his chest. "I didn't come here to harm anyone," she said steadily. "Then why did Hargrove send you?" "He didn't." Her eyes flashed with anger. "We're running from him." Their standoff stretched in tense silence until Charlotte lowered her weapon first. "I was here the night the McKinnons died, camping by the creek." Her voice grew tight. "I saw everything. A man with a scarred face, the one who stands behind Hargrove. He executed them, one by one, even the children." Logan's finger eased off the trigger. "Why were you here?" "Looking for this." She held up the metal box. "Evidence. Thomas McKinnon kept records of every cattle transaction, including the ones with Hargrove that never existed." A rifle shot echoed across the valley, too distant to threaten them, but a clear signal nonetheless. Logan spotted a rider on the distant ridge, then watched him gallop away. "Hargrove knows you're here," Logan said, "and now he knows I am too." Part 2. Blood Ties. Dawn broke with Logan Pierce transforming the burned McKinnon Ranch into a defensible position. His 3 years as an Army scout had taught him to see terrain as a weapon. The well provided water. The collapsed barn offered cover and clear firing lanes. The stone foundation created natural barricades. "You've done this before," Charlotte observed, helping him move heavy timbers. "Comanche campaign. Apache wars." Logan's voice held no emotion. "I tracked for the Army until I saw they were no better than the men they hunted." Victoria tended to Sarah's wound with practiced efficiency. "The bullet just grazed the muscle. You'll have full use of your arm, but it needs time to heal." "Time is something we don't have," Sarah replied, wincing as Victoria applied a poultice of herbs Logan had gathered at dawn. Her daughter played quietly nearby with a wooden horse. "But I can still shoot left-handed if needed." Rebecca emerged from the wagon with a Winchester repeater that matched Logan's own. "I count 16 shells," she said, checking the action, "plus whatever's in your gun." She handled the weapon with unusual expertise, her movements precise and practiced. "You handle that like you've used it before," Logan observed, noticing how she checked the sights with professional scrutiny. "My father fought at Shiloh," Rebecca replied simply, but something in her eyes suggested she wasn't sharing everything. "He taught me well." As they worked, Logan assessed their skills. Despite her injured arm, Sarah demonstrated she could shoot with remarkable precision using her left hand, a skill learned protecting her husband's mining claim. Victoria had medical knowledge from nursing during a cholera outbreak. Rebecca understood weapons and tactics with surprising depth. Charlotte led naturally, her decisions quick and decisive. By midday, the ranch resembled a small fortress. Firing positions established, escape routes planned, water barrels filled. "Hargrove won't wait long," Logan said as they ate a sparse meal. "When he comes, he'll bring numbers." "Why did you buy this place?" Victoria asked. "You must have known it was trouble." Logan's face remained impassive, but something flickered in his eyes. 3 years ago, I reported officers selling whiskey to my people. Army didn't care about the crime, only that I broke ranks. My tribe saw me as a traitor for working with bluecoats in the first place. His hand tightened around his tin cup. "When you belong nowhere, you make your own place." Logan placed the gold-flecked rock samples on the table between them. "This is why Hargrove wants this land." McKinnon found gold in the North Creek. Not enough for a rush, but enough to make a man rich. Charlotte nodded, understanding in her eyes. "The boarding house I managed, I burned it down when I discovered the owner using the girls who worked there, some as young as 12. Her voice hardened. "The law did nothing, so I did." Sarah rocked her daughter gently. "My husband found papers in the mine office, records of cattle stolen from ranches that later burned. Hargrove's name was on them." Her eyes grew distant. "The mine collapse that killed him wasn't an accident." Victoria added quietly, "I refused to allow the school board chairman's son to cheat on examinations. When I was dismissed, I discovered the chairman was Hargrove's cousin. Only Rebecca remained guarded about her past. When pressed, she simply said, 'My business partner vanished, investigating Hargrove's operation. I intend to find what happened to him.'" Logan noted how she unconsciously touched her vest pocket when she spoke. A cloud of dust on the horizon ended their conversation. Riders approached, at least 10 men, Hargrove at their head. Behind him rode Cole Winters, the scarred killer whose eyes held no more life than a rattlesnake's. "Everyone to positions," Logan ordered. "No one fires until I do." The women moved with practiced efficiency, Sarah taking high ground with her rifle despite her wounded arm, Victoria protecting the child in the stone cellar, Charlotte and Rebecca flanking Logan as Hargrove approached the well. "Quite a welcoming party, Scout," Hargrove called, reining in 20 yards out. His smile never touched his cold eyes, especially for a man who just wanted to be neighborly. "State your business," Logan replied, Winchester held casually across his body. "Just concerned about your house guests," Hargrove gestured toward the women. "Harboring fugitives is a federal offense." "Fugitives?" Logan's expression remained neutral. "Indeed." Hargrove straightened in his saddle. "Miss Rebecca Callahan wanted for embezzlement from her business partner. Miss Victoria McCall, dismissed for inappropriate conduct with students. Mrs. Sarah Miller, suspected in her husband's death. And Miss Charlotte Warren, arsonist and murderer. Charlotte stepped forward, chin raised defiantly. Tell them what really happened, Hargrove. How you've been burning ranches and stealing cattle. How your cousin's mine has killed men who discovered your scheme. Hargrove's face darkened. You have until sundown tomorrow to clear out, Scout. Sign the deed over to me, and I'll forget I saw these women. His voice dropped. Refuse, and I'll bring the sheriff with enough men to burn what's left of this place to the ground. As Hargrove and his men rode away, Logan turned to the women. You should leave. This isn't your fight. It became our fight when he killed the people we loved, Sarah said fiercely, her injured arm cradled against her chest. We stand better chances together than apart, Charlotte added. Logan studied each face, determined, unbroken by hardship. These weren't helpless women needing rescue. They were survivors who'd learned to fight for what they needed. Then we prepare, he said simply. Night brought a probing attack. 6 riders approached from multiple directions, torch flames visible in the darkness. Logan had anticipated this, a test of their defenses rather than a full assault. From her position atop the remaining barn wall, Sarah fired with her left hand. Her first shot went wide, but her second found its mark. A rider tumbled from his saddle. Rebecca's shot dropped another. The remaining attackers circled, firing wildly before retreating under Logan and Charlotte's coordinated defense. One wounded attacker couldn't escape. Logan dragged him into the remains of the house, binding his hands. You're a dead man, the captive spat. Blood soaked his shirt from a shoulder wound. Logan cleaned the man's wound without gentleness. How many men does Hargrove have? The man remained silent until Logan pressed a thumb into his wound. 20, maybe more, he gasped. And Cole Winters is worth another 10 himself. Why the ranches? Why the fires? Pain and fear loosened the man's tongue. Railroads coming through next year. Land values will triple. Hargrove's been clearing out smaller ranchers, making it look like accidents or Indian raids. His eyes darted nervously, but the McKinnon place was different. They found gold in their north pasture. How much gold? Logan demanded. Enough. A vein running through the creek bed. McKinnon discovered it while repairing a fence. Hargrove wanted it kept quiet until he owned all the connecting properties. Logan exchanged glances with Charlotte. The gold samples he'd found confirmed everything. Where's the sheriff in all this? Rebecca asked sharply, her tone carrying the authority of someone used to questioning suspects. The wounded man laughed bitterly. Sheriff Foster? Hargrove bought him years ago, along with Judge Wilson. This whole county belongs to Hargrove. Not all of it, Logan replied coldly. When dawn broke, they found their captive had worked free of his bonds and escaped during the night, exactly as Logan had planned. The man would report their defenses, their numbers, and their determination. Let Hargrove think he had the advantage of information. Logan knew they needed allies. Despite the risk, he had to return to his people. I'm going to the Apache camp at Whitetail Creek, he announced. They have no love for me, but they hate men like Hargrove more. It's too dangerous, Charlotte objected. They'll kill you on sight. Perhaps. Logan checked his ammunition and mounted his horse, but without help, we all die anyway. He turned to Rebecca. While I'm gone, there's something about you I want answered. You're no shopkeeper. Rebecca held his gaze steadily. When you return, if you return, keep Sarah's daughter close, Logan warned. Hargrove's men will be watching for weakness. They'll strike while I'm gone. With that, he rode toward the mountains where his tribe had retreated after the last treaty. He carried no gifts, no peace offerings, only the truth about a man who murdered families and stole land. The Apache sentry spotted Logan miles before he reached their camp. He rode openly, hands visible, knowing one wrong move meant death. 4 warriors intercepted him, rifles ready. I come to speak with Gray Wolf, Logan said in Apache, about the ranchers who burn homes and blame our people. The oldest warrior spat on the ground. Gray Wolf has no words for traitors. Then he will miss the chance to strike at men who use our name to cover their crimes, Logan replied calmly. After tense deliberation, they escorted Logan into camp. Women gathered children and disappeared into Tippis. Men reached for weapons. Then Grey Wolf emerged from his lodge, once Logan's blood brother, before the tribe cast him out. "You have courage returning here," Grey Wolf said, his face impassive, "or perhaps just a wish to die." "I bring warning," Logan replied, "and an opportunity." Logan explained Hargrove's operation, how he murdered ranchers, stole cattle, then blamed Apache raiders. How the army used these raids to justify further reducing tribal lands. How Hargrove planned to sell everything to the railroad once he controlled the valley. Grey Wolf listened silently. When Logan finished, he spoke, "Why should we care what white men do to each other? Let them burn their own homes." "Because so long as Hargrove lives, our people take the blame," Logan answered. "And if he succeeds, the railroad comes faster." Grey Wolf studied Logan's face. "The tribe cast you out. You owe us nothing." "I owe the truth everything," Logan replied. "Will you help?" "I will watch," Grey Wolf said finally. "If what you say proves true, perhaps the Apache will hunt these raiders who steal our name." It wasn't the alliance Logan had hoped for, but it was something. As he prepared to leave, Grey Wolf stopped him. "The spirits told me you might return one day," the Apache leader said quietly. "They said your heart remained true even when your path diverged from ours." "My heart never left the tribe," Logan replied. "Only my body was sent away." Grey Wolf nodded once. "We will watch this ranch. If Hargrove attacks as you say, we will see his true face." Logan returned to the ranch at dusk to find chaos. The barn was burning. Sarah's daughter was missing. Charlotte and Victoria tended to Rebecca, who lay bleeding from a bullet grazed across her temple. Sarah herself was nowhere to be seen. "What happened?" Logan demanded, dismounting in a swift motion. Charlotte's face was streaked with soot and tears. "Hargrove's men, more than 20. They hit us 2 hours ago. Cole Winters led them." She swallowed hard. "They took Sarah and her daughter, said they'd kill the child if we didn't surrender the deed by morning." Victoria looked up from bandaging Rebecca's head. "Sarah fought like a wildcat despite her injured arm. Killed 2 of them before they overwhelmed her." Rebecca stirred, pushing away Victoria's hands. "I saw something," she mumbled, fighting to sit up. "Winters had papers, military orders. Hargrove isn't just a land thief. He's selling information to renegade bands about army movements." Logan helped Rebecca to her feet. "Treason." "Yes." Rebecca's eyes cleared, determination replacing pain. "Logan, there's something you need to know." She reached into her vest and withdrew a silver badge. "I'm a federal agent. I've been tracking Hargrove's operation for 6 months." Charlotte stared in shock. "You used us." "I recruited you," Rebecca corrected. "All of you had reasons to bring Hargrove down. I just didn't tell you everything." She turned back to Logan. "My partner wasn't a business associate. He was another agent who disappeared investigating the McKinnon murders." The pieces fell into place. Rebecca's knowledge of weapons, her tactical thinking, her pointed questions about the sheriff. "Can your badge bring us help?" Logan asked practically. "Not in time," Rebecca admitted. "But it gives us authority to act." Logan nodded once. "Then we go after Sarah and her daughter tonight, and we end Hargrove's reign for good." Part 3. Fire and Vengeance. Under cover of darkness, Logan, Charlotte, and Rebecca approached Hargrove's ranch. Victoria remained behind to maintain the illusion the ranch was still defended. Rebecca, despite her head wound, insisted on coming, her badge giving their mission legal standing. "Winters will keep the hostages in the main house," Logan whispered as they crouched behind an outbuilding. "Hargrove always sleeps with armed men nearby. We need to separate them." "I can create a distraction at the bunkhouse," Charlotte offered. "Draw the guards away." "Too risky," Logan replied. "We moved together, fast and quiet." They slipped past sleeping guards, Logan's Apache training guiding them through shadows. At the main house, a light burned in an upstairs window. Through his rifle scope, Logan spotted Cole Winters pacing inside, his scarred face twisted in a cruel smile. Sarah's daughter lay sleeping on a bed. Sarah herself sat bound to a chair, her face bruised but defiant. "Winters has them alone," Logan whispered. "Hargrove must be elsewhere." Rebecca pointed to a larger building across the yard. "Office lights are on. He's working late." "Charlotte, get the child. Rebecca, free Sarah." Logan checked his knife. "I'll deal with Winters." They entered through an unlocked back door, moving silently up the stairs. Outside the lit room, Logan gave a final nod. Then he kicked the door open. Winters reacted with blinding speed, drawing his revolver. But Logan was already moving, tackling the scarred killer before he could fire. They crashed into a table, sending a lamp shattering against the wall. Flames instantly caught the curtains. Charlotte rushed to the child while Rebecca cut Sarah's bonds. Winters and Logan rolled across the floor, each fighting for survival. The scarred man was strong, his knife appearing as if by magic. It slashed across Logan's chest, drawing blood. But Logan had learned knife fighting from Apache elders. He trapped Winters' wrist, twisted sharply until bones cracked, then drove his own blade deep into the killer's side. Winters gasped, eyes widening in shock. "That's for the McKinnon children," Logan growled. The fire spread rapidly. Charlotte had the little girl in her arms, following Rebecca and Sarah toward the door. Logan left Winters bleeding on the floor and joined their escape. Gunfire erupted as they reached the yard. Hargrove's men had discovered the intruders. Bullets splintered wood around them as they ran for cover behind a water trough. "We'll never make it to the horses," Charlotte gasped, shielding the child with her body. Logan counted at least a dozen armed men converging on their position. Their odds had just gone from poor to impossible. Then war cries echoed across the ranch. Silhouetted against the burning building, a dozen Apache warriors appeared on horseback. Grey Wolf led them, rifle raised. The unexpected attack threw Hargrove's men into confusion, providing the distraction Logan needed. "Run for the creek," he ordered. "I'm going after Hargrove." Logan sprinted toward the office building, ducking gunfire. Inside, he found Hargrove frantically stuffing documents into a satchel. Gold coins spilled across the desk, payment for his treasonous information. "It's over, Hargrove," Logan said from the doorway, rifle leveled. "Nothing's over," Hargrove snarled, reaching for his ornate revolver. Logan fired first. Hargrove stumbled backward, clutching his shoulder, his weapon clattering to the floor. But the cattle baron wasn't finished. He lunged at Logan with surprising speed, crashing into him with desperate strength. They fell together, Hargrove's hands finding Logan's throat. Vision darkening under the choking pressure, Logan's fingers scrambled for any weapon. They closed around a heavy paperweight. The brass weight connected with Hargrove's temple once, twice, until his grip loosened. Logan pushed the unconscious man away and staggered to his feet. Outside, the battle had turned decisively. Grey Wolf's warriors had surrounded the ranch house. Most of Hargrove's men had surrendered or fled. "I told you I would watch," Grey Wolf said, approaching Logan. "I saw enough. This man uses our name to hide his crimes." Logan nodded gratefully. "Thank you, brother." "The spirits were right about your heart," Grey Wolf replied simply. Rebecca approached, her federal badge prominently displayed. "Maxwell Hargrove, you're under arrest for murder, land theft, treason, and kidnapping." She turned to the captured men. "All of you are facing federal charges." From the burning house stumbled Cole Winters, bloody but somehow still alive. He raised a pistol towards Sarah and her daughter, his final act of malice. Logan and Grey Wolf fired simultaneously. Winters fell for the last time. His reign of terror ended by the justice of two worlds united against evil. 1 month later, the McKinnon Ranch stood transformed. New timber-framed walls where charred ruins had been. The barn roof was complete, cattle grazing in repaired corrals. The gold vein in the north pasture had proven sufficient to fund the rebuilding and stock the ranch properly. Victoria had established a small school in one room, teaching Sarah's daughter and children from neighboring farms. Sarah, her arm now fully healed, managed the growing herd of cattle with skill born of hard experience. Apache traders came regularly, establishing a new relationship with the settlement. Rebecca visited between assignments, bringing news of Hargrove's trial for treason and murder. The corrupt sheriff and judge had been removed. Slowly, justice returned to Redemption Creek. "The Justice Department is impressed with your actions," Rebecca told Logan, handing him a small package. Inside lay a silver badge, Deputy U.S. Marshal, if you're interested. Logan weighed the badge in his hand. Once, he had worn the Army's insignia, only to find corruption behind it. But this represented something different, a chance to bring justice to a lawless land. "I'll consider it," he said quietly. Grey Wolf's warriors no longer hid in the mountains, but traded openly with the ranch. Their chief had explained to Logan, "When men like Hargrove use our name for their crimes, we all suffer. By standing together, we show a different path." Logan stood on the new porch that evening, watching the sunset paint the valley gold. Charlotte joined him, their shoulders touching lightly. Words weren't needed between them anymore. They had fought together, bled together. Some bonds ran deeper than blood. $5, Logan said finally, watching riders approach from the direction of the Apache camp. "Best investment I ever made." "Not the gold?" Charlotte asked, a smile playing at her lips. Logan shook his head. "Gold just buys things." He gestured to the rebuilt ranch, to the women who had become family, to the Apache riders bringing trade goods instead of war. "This can't be purchased at any price." He placed his Winchester on the rack by the door, within easy reach. A man who had fought for everything he owned never truly relaxed his vigilance. But for the first time in years, Logan Pierce had found something worth protecting, a place where he belonged. The badge caught the last light of day, glinting silver against the weathered wood. Perhaps there were still battles worth fighting, wrongs to be righted across the frontier, but those were challenges for tomorrow. $5 bought the land, he said quietly, but blood and fire built the home. Charlotte's hand found his, her grip strong and sure. Behind them, the ranch house door stood open, lamplight spilling out to guide travelers home. The end.